Islamists have been intimidating members of parliament. Islamists have been threatening parliamentary candidates. Islamists have been murdering MPs. We're on the House of the floor today. What did the leader of the opposition ask the Prime Minister? Who did he ask him about? He asked him about Tommy Robinson. And isn't this amazing? So we're in a situation where the enemies are not at the gate, they're inside the gate and they're wrecking everything. They're destroying everything. The enemies have taken over the camp. And what does the leader of the opposition have to say about it? About the fact that his party policy has been changed because of Islamists? What does the Prime Minister say about the intimidation that's been going on of his own MPs? What does he have to say? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Complete silence. But hold on a minute, there's a much more important story going on. You see, Liz Truss was in America doing an interview with Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon happened to mention Tommy Robinson. And he called him a hero. And I think probably 80% of the British, probably maybe more than that, 85 to 90% of the British working class would agree. And Liz Truss didn't disagree. Fair play to her. But Keir Starmer, he had some real backbone today, really took on the challenges the country's facing and asked a question on the floor about Tommy Robinson. Well, I suppose that old saying, isn't there? It's better having people talking about you than ignoring you. And I made a speech in, I think it was 2018. And I said, one day we're going to see Tommy Robinson walk into Parliament as an elected MP. And I still believe, unless the state totally nobble him by giving him ridiculous prison sentences and just keeping him away, if Tommy gets a chance, Tommy will get elected and Tommy will become a member of Parliament. And what a day that will be when Tommy's in the House, when all the failed Conservative MPs and the failed Labour MPs are left grasping for the smelling salts because the person that they hate the most, not because he's done anything violent, they keep calling him a thug. I mean, and far right. I would like them to show one incidence of Tommy being convicted of a hate crime, either by what he said or by his physical actions. Non-existent. Never happened. It hasn't happened. But they would be beside themselves if Tommy walked into Parliament as an MP. They'd all be grasping their pearls, reaching for the smelling salts, reaching for their sick bags, because a working class lad has actually made it into the corridors of power. They hate Lee Anderson. But they despise Tommy, and they despise everybody that follows Tommy. And when we saw what happened on GB News earlier this week, when that, I mean, this is what amazes me about the media. And let's just go on a rant here. The so-called right-wing media, Talk, whatever it is, and GB News, they have loads of Islamists on. They have loads of far-left lunatics on, Momentum people like that. Do they have anybody that truly represents the British working class, and more accurately, the white British working class? I'm not saying that to be racist. I'm saying that because the white British working class are not represented by anybody. That's a fact. They don't have Tommy on anymore. I was on Talk TV. I managed to get through their firewall after the Armistice Day events, and spoke to the lad from Belfast. Can't remember his Cardwell. Spoke to Cardwell, and once they realised who I was, the whole tone of the interview changed. And guess what? That interview can't be found on any of Talk TV's archives. And I'll say it myself, it was a fairly good interview. So the reality is they're still in the business of silencing the mainstream opinion among the British working class is that we've had enough. We've had enough of being pushed around in our country. We've had enough of being falsely called racist. We've had enough of radical Muslims marching through our streets, bullying and intimidating people. We've had enough of the pathetic charges of Islamophobia that are put at anybody that speaks out against certain practices that are carried out by Muslims because of what's in their teachings. And that's why we need to see Tommy Robinson get elected and rub their noses in it. See them all reaching for the smelling salts, clutching their pearls and throwing up in the nearest sick bags when Tommy and maybe half a dozen of us lot get into Parliament and start really putting things right. Tommy's in the house. See you all soon.